speaker, last but definitely not least, especially for those of you who keep asking, like, are you making any money on this? Luke earns 2 credits in his bio. One of them is, I told everybody they could have a sentence or 2. He used the fewest words of everybody. He simply said, Luke Ford has made his living from blogging since 1997.
Just 9 years ago that I was named Hustler Magazine's Asshole of the Month. So now I get to address this august crowd. It's a thrill. I'm mainly known for writing on the pornography industry, so thought I'd talk tonight about the morals of blogging. I think most ethical questions related to writing/blogging can be answered if you simply do it with your name on it. As long as you put your name on it, you're going to take the consequences. It's going to affect what you do. Most ethical questions will then be answered, particularly if you belong to a community. Because pretty much no matter what community you belong to, whether it's the LA Press Club, Pentecostal church, an Orthodox synagogue, what you do is going to reflect on the community that you belong to, and they're not going to appreciate it if you're doing outrageous things. I can say that as someone who's been thrown out of 5 different Orthodox synagogues. Also been sued 5 times for libel. I just wanted to give one story, which I think reveals many of the ethics of blogging. I was reading an anonymous blog on the JewishJournal.com about 2 months ago, and I recognized the writing style. The blog was called Far From Froom, and Froom is Hebrew for religious. And this was a girl who was at a seminary in Jerusalem. She was kind of critiquing a seminary and writing about her life and her fantasies about a particular rabbi. And I recognized the writing style from some other work on the JewishJournal.com by a young woman by the name of Gina Davidovich. And so I tracked down her Facebook account, sent her up an email, hey, are you the one writing this anonymous blog? And then I made my own blog post saying, hey, is Gina the author of this anonymous blog? And within about 15 minutes of my making that blog post, her entire blog came down from the Jewish Journal website. So I didn't think much more about it until about 5 days later, right before Rosh Hashanah, my rabbi suspended me from my synagogue. He said that what I'd done was cruel to this girl. She was only 18, that I'd caused a great shame and embarrassment right before Rosh Hashanah, and so I was suspended for 2 weeks. And then I proceeded over the next 2 weeks to justify on my blog why I was right, which means I'm now on indefinite suspension. And so I made a post saying that great writing requires a brutal commitment to truth. And my rabbi replied that being a good Jew requires a brutal commitment to kindness. So while I think that identifying someone who writes in the public sphere is probably a matter of truth, if we look at it from the ethical question of kindness, then just ask kind to whom? So is revealing the name of an anonymous blogger kind to, say, the next person that she was going to critique and mortify, and by holding her responsible for her words, you prevented kind of a drive-by blog? Is it kind to her parents who were probably appalled when they found out what she was doing? Is it kind to her seminary? Is it kind to her friends? There are so many different competing ethical questions in journalism in general and in writing that it makes the idea of an ethical code for bloggers or for journalists quite a problem, because journalists have obligations to their readers, to their sources, to their employer, to their craft. There are so many competing ethical obligations as a journalist that many of them cancel out, and it's the same as a blogger. So to me, it boils down to, if you put your name on it, you're going to bear the consequences. I've been sued 5 times. I've been thrown out of 5 synagogues. Right now, to get back into my synagogue, I would have to close down LukeFord.net and blog on a new site where my rabbi would be my editor. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Thank you.
Editorial control there. Questions? Yes.
Obviously, doesn't trouble me that I don't know who the person is. I've read it enough that I trust the information. I don't think there's anything in there. What in your mind is wrong with an anonymous blog? You explained it a little. I'm still more curious. Like, is it inherently wrong or untruthful?
No, I think everything has to be decided on its overall merits. So if it's an anonymous blog that is slandering people and doing far more damage than good, then it's bad. If it's an anonymous blog making a contribution to the craft, to information, anonymous blogs are great. I mean, many of the Federalist papers obviously are written anonymously, so I think everything comes down to the merit of the case. My idea of just putting your name on it was one approach to writing ethics, but I absolutely agree with you that there's nothing wrong inherently with an anonymous blog. It just creates different ethical questions that anonymous blog is critiquing and taking shots at other people and institutions.
How, you said in the beginning you've been making money at this since 1990 something, so how are you doing that?
For most of that time, most of the money came from writing on the porn industry. So that was a lot more lucrative than almost any other area that I've written on. It's amazing. I can make a very learned post on Orthodox Judaism and get a few hundred, a few thousand readers. But an interview with Jenna Jameson would attract hundreds of thousands of readers. So I didn't know I'm really discouraged about the state of humanity. Not. But and then also I've learned how to work AdSense. So if you click on one of my headlines, like John McCain volunteer, just click on that. Okay, this is how you should do AdSense, everybody. Put it on top. Use a rectangle. Because those rectangular 336 by 280, they get clicked the most, they pay the most. Use blue for your headline. Use gray for the link underneath so it doesn't look like an ad. Don't put it in a box. Let it blend with the content. And you do okay. I make about $20 a day from AdSense.
Is there any type of Google size that you haven't used here?
I'm sorry, is there any type of...
Is there any, I see you've got the ads across the top there.
The rectangles are the ones that pay. I see people's blogs and nobody's doing it. No, very few people do it right, and it's so easy. Just use rectangles. The Google ad on the left doesn't really pay much. The stuff on the right doesn't pay much. You want your ads in line with what people are reading, and don't put it in a box. Let it just blend with the content.
Did the readers complain when you did that?
No.
For that tip, we'll be charging you all $500 at the door.
So everyone should be able to make at least $5 per 1,000 page views on their AdSense.
That's actually pretty impressive, really. As somebody who knows a little bit about what most people make on Google AdSense, you're doing very well.
And you can make a lot more if you, let's say, you write about refinance or stuff that Peter writes about. You should be able to make at least $40 per 1,000 page views just with Google AdSense.
Luke, you're one of the few people.
What was that comment, Pastor?
He's taping it too.
Luke, you're one of the few bloggers that I know whose name got sold. LukeFork.com got sold, and now it's porn again.
Right.
Did that?
You won't be going there.
Nice try, Tony.
Too smart. Does that confuse people when you're trying to do this new thing over here in journalism?
Yeah, it's a major embarrassment. I mean, let's be honest. The biggest price that I paid from writing on the porn industry was not getting beaten up by pornographers. It was not getting taken in a car to some scary part of LA and dumped out, then getting sued for libel. That's just the social ostracism that you face. So in 2001, to try to get back into my synagogue, I was asked to sell LukeFork.com, so I sold it. It was a disaster. I made a deal with the guy whereby I'd get the domain name back in 5 years. Well, he screwed me over, blah, blah, blah. So it was a disaster. But, that's the price you pay for growing up.